Hi, my name is Kathy Seal, and I own the Quilt Patch in Tecumseh, Michigan. And this is Terry. She's
Hi.
the computer gal at the store, and she is the very beginning part of her quilt career. So I thought it would be fun to bring her in and show her some of the new techniques and new patterns that are on the market right now that are a lot of fun. I'm in the deeper into my quilt career, so Terry's going to be the one that slows me down, stops, asks questions if I go too fast through something. So what I wanted to show you today was a pattern called Stars Divided by Quilts Remembered, and this is the project that we're going to be making. And it is 4-inch finish squares, LeMoyne stars. Don't panic, they're not that hard to make. You need to have the two colors that you're going to have your star be, and you can also choose just one color for them. On all the stars that I did, I had two colors so that you could really see the star tips. You need to have some rectangles of your background, and you need to have some squares of your background. And so step number one, after we get all of our cutting done, we are going to be taking and working with these guys in pairs. You're going to be taking a background square and drawing a line on the background square from corner to corner. And then you are going to make these in sets of 4. So you're going to have 4 red ones and you're going to have 4 blue ones.
Do you just use any pen, just like any old ballpoint, or what do you use?
I use a friction marker to put on to mark the back of mine, and it irons away. And I've really liked the friction markers; they're awesome. Okay,
cool.
So it's just drawing a line from corner to corner. And they have to be in opposing directions. So the blue ones are all going to be drawn from this way to this way, and the red ones are all going to be this way to this way.
And that's only for each star. It needs to be consistent.
Exactly.
You can
yes.
switch. Every color needs to be going the same way.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now, once we get this drawn on both sides, guess what we're going to go and do? Can you imagine?
Sew?
Yes, we're going to go in and we're going to sew from corner to corner, just like this. And then you're going to come in and you're going to trim off this corner right here so that you end up looking like this. And you're going to get rid of that triangle down there. So all we have is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay? And you're going to do that for both sides. You're going to get rid of this right here and leave a 1/4 inch. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we're pressing in one direction. So that means that this seam allowance is going to be underneath the blue. Do you see how I have that pressed underneath the blue?
Okay.
And then the red is going to be pressed underneath the background.
I felt like darks were always supposed to go underneath.
Not always. If you go and follow the pressing instructions that are in this pattern, you're going to see that everything ends up nesting together if you follow this pressing instruction.
Okay.
Okay? So we're pressing everything, and I don't care which way it is, as long as you're consistent. Everything gets pressed that way for mine. Okay? Then we're going to come in, and on both of these units, I'm going to leave them right here, on both these units, we're going to take one of the rectangles, and we're going to put it right sides together. Do you see how one side is short up here and one side's long right here? You're going to sew the rectangles always on the pointy side.
Okay. The pointy side?
See this point that comes down, and this is the low side?
Okay. All right.
If you sew it to this side, it doesn't work, and you have to get the stitch ripper out. So you got to make sure that you sew this one to this side, and it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance, just like that. And then you're going to take a rectangle, and you are going to sew it to the blue one, just like this. And you're going to sew this side. So that they both get sewn here in the middle. Okay? Now, when we come in with this, we look like this. And the same pressing is still in effect. I'm going to press this one underneath this, and I'm going to press this underneath this red.
Okay. How do you know which way to press again?
Because we're pressing everything this way. So this piece is underneath here.
So if we flip it over, then will that?
So
that makes,
if we
I
flip
see.
it
It's
over
all
here,
going the same way. I gotcha.
It's all going that way.
Okay.
Okay. So now we look like this. Now I'm going to take the one side, and I'm going to put it over the top of the other side, and I'm going to nest those seam allowances. Do you see how that nests right there? Those hook together, and we're going to draw another line with our friction marker from corner to corner. You can use a pencil for this. You can use a blue water erase marker too. It doesn't have to be a friction marker. because it's not going to show.
Permanent marker
Yeah.
definitely is in.
We don't want to. Yeah, we don't ever want to use a ballpoint pen because ballpoint will bleed through on the fabric. So we do want to use like a pencil or a wash away or iron away marker. We're going to go like this, corner to corner, and then guess what we're going to do? We're going to sew on that line, and that's this right here. So now this is sewn, and now we're going to go in and we're going to trim this away, just like that.
And how do you know which side to trim? Or should I just sort of open up and peek and then...
This is the star tip side,
okay.
So it makes perfect sense that we're not going to trim and get rid of the star tips.
Because then you just have little half-inch nothing.
Well, then you have this side that doesn't really look like much. Okay, so you're going to get rid of that guy right there, leave that 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then we're going to come in just like this, and the same pressing applies. We're going to make everything go that way. So now I have got 2 of these guys. We're going to turn this guy. Oh my goodness, look, there's the beginning.
Oh, they match up really well.
The beginning of the star. And now here's where this pressing thing comes into play. So if we've followed everything going in one direction, when I lay this on top of this to make the first half of the star, I have got nested seam allowances right there, and you can see how those nest together, and look, these nest together too, because this is going this way and this is going this way. So now this seam allowance nests and this seam allowance nests.
Nice.
And that way you can get these beautiful 2 halves, and then all we're going to do is take this. And again, everything nests together beautifully. I come in here, and if you can see this right here, do you see that makes that X? I stick a pin through there, and I pop through on the other side, and I match that up there so that those centers are going to match beautifully. And I connect that right there, and then we connect this right here, and you can go in and put pins there so it doesn't move. I'm not a big pinner, so I don't put pins except for the middle of a star. You're going to sew that guy down just like that. Now, you see that these seam allowances here are all pushed one way or the other. Well, we've got a whole bunch coming into the center here. When I come in and do this last seam allowance, I'm going to open this one up just like a garment maker does. So when this is sewn, and I'm opening that seam allowance, I'm going to open it up like this. I'm not going to put it to one side or the other because that cuts the bulk of this in half.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So the center seam down the middle, when we have these 2 halves put together, is the only one that I go in and I open it up. The rest of them are just one way or another.
Okay. And when you're doing this, contrast-wise,
Yep.
Do you want to try to do 2 very different colors for the star? Does it not really matter? I mean, does it just depend on the effect?
That is such a personal choice on these. I like my star tips to show up. If I'm going to do all the work to get an 8-point center to come, and I'm going to do the work to do this, I want my blades to show up on my star.
You're not going to do black on charcoal on gray, then maybe not?
Well, probably not. Probably not. But some people, LeMoyne stars have been traditionally made all in one color, so it's a personal preference, totally personal preference. Cool. And this does not have to be something that is just done in these. These make adorable little bright colored stars too. Now there are instructions that we have for 6-inch stars. You see this is a 4-inch star and this is a 6-inch star, and this is probably going to be about the end of what I'm comfortable with in terms of the waist. Remember when we went and cut this triangle off and we had this triangle here? On this size, it's just a little piece of fabric. This is probably going to be about the end of the rope for me on how much fabric I'm willing to waste. And then there's all kinds of different methods that you can use to make LeMoyne stars where you don't have this waist. So this is really a good method for smaller stars.
Okay. You just need to find a way to repurpose it.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, exactly.
We'll get on that.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for watching.